Welcome back to the Sidetrack Sports Podcast. Today's episode is all about finding joy and a community through running, particularly as someone who's a bit newer to running. And here with me today is my friend and fellow journalist, Lucy.
Hello.
And she's also someone that has started running in the last 10 months or so and is going to have run her first half marathon by the time this podcast episode comes out. So Lucy, do you want to start by just quickly introducing yourself, telling us a little bit how you got into running?
Yeah, so as Jazz says, I'm Lucy. Yeah, I got into running very recently, actually. In January, I honestly couldn't tell you what spurred it on. People often ask me, like, what made you start running? Like, was it the big wave of runners that have, taken the sport up over the past 12 months? And I'm sure that was probably a factor. But I think one day I just decided to chuck on my trainers and just go out for a little jog. I have to be honest, the first one was appalling. I think I ran 5K in about 42 minutes and I was just walking half of it. I was like, oh, this is really hard. But I think I don't know what clicked in my head, but I was like, do you know what? I've put this off for so many years. I absolutely hated it growing up. I thought it was one of the most boring things you could do. I didn't understand why people did it and also choose to run like ridiculous distances like 42k and even 100k some people do. But no, now I'm 10 months in and I absolutely love it, and I don't really know why it took me so long to start doing it.
And just a quick thing I want to say that I'm still that person that thinks running seems like it's really boring. So we've got two sides of the coin right here.
Hopefully I can convince you.
Oh, well that's quite a big job there, to be honest. So a little stat for you guys. Between November 2022 and November 2023, running was actually identified as the second largest sport based on participation in England, with only fitness classes above it, which I expect it to maybe be number one, but number two makes sense. But Lucy, why is it, do you think, that so many people choose running as a form of exercise?
I think it's an interesting one. I think from face value, it looks to be it's free, first of all. Like a lot of other sports that you do, particularly in London and particularly, growing up and at university, can be very expensive. You need all sorts of kit and, equipment to be able to play the sport you do. Even, the ones that you wouldn't think need that much, football, etc. You do actually need quite a lot of material to be able to play it like to a significant like high standard, whatever. But with running, if you've got a pair of trainers, that's all you really need. And of course, don't get me wrong, if you go like down the route of doing a half marathon, doing races, it does get a little bit more expensive because, as I figured out, they're not free. You do have to pay to do races. But yeah, as I said, from the first instance of it, it is a free sport. I think that's one of the reasons why people take it up. I think the second reason is probably because there is way less judgment within the running community than what is perceived to be. I think some people think the running community can be quite a judgmental place, which I don't agree with. But secondly, if you do it by yourself and you just go out and you have fun and you don't compare yourself to anyone else, then it can be really, really enjoyable. And I think it does take a while to learn that you have to do that. I definitely, across the first couple of runs I was going on, I was worried about how slow I was, and I was comparing to other people that I was seeing on Strava, and I was like, oh God, everyone's so much faster than me. This is going to be rubbish. But I think once you kind of understand that it's your journey and it's everyone's got their own pace, everyone's got their own goals and the things that they want to achieve personally. And there is no point in comparing yourself to someone else because they may have started running 2 weeks before and they might be really fast, and okay, that's fantastic for them, but only you know what the progress is that you're making. So yeah, I think it's popular because you can do it by yourself, you can do it for yourself, it's free, and honestly, if you keep it up and you go fairly regularly, it gets really enjoyable because you get better and you can see progress so quickly. So
yeah, because I think that's one of the things you said about is like not comparing yourself to others, but I think that's probably one of the things that would stop me from going on a run as someone who doesn't really run at the moment. Like in my head, if I'm like running on the street, in my mind, everyone's like, oh my gosh, she's running so slow. But they don't actually know how far I've already ran. Like I could have already ran like 15 kilometers for all they know, or 1K, like who knows? And I guess, yeah, it's like moving past that point and like you said, you're on your own journey and sort of just thinking about it like that rather than comparing it to other people. And yeah, I think that's quite an important thing actually. And
yeah, 100%. I think that before I started running, I would often walk past people who are running and think, oh, I wonder how far they've run. And the truth of the matter is that you absolutely don't know. When you're walking past someone in the street, you have no idea whether they are choosing to run a half marathon that day or just want to run 2K. Like, there's no kind of indication. And so I think that's a really nice kind of, almost like a blanket that runners have, and that you don't have to prove to anyone else what you're doing or how fast you're going or how far you're running. It's just for you.
Yeah, it's like completely personalizable to yourself as well. And I actually thought it was quite interesting what you said about the running community is not as judgmental as it's perceived to be. Because someone on the outside of it, it definitely seems like it would be quite judgmental. Is that something that's changed for you since you've started running and sort of become more of that community, do you think?
I think it's probably come with the wave of new runners that have taken to the streets over the past 12 months or so. Obviously, social media is such a massive factor in it. Like, as soon as you see someone, it's the social media effect. As soon as you see someone doing something on social media and, like, you know, they're doing it for the first time and they're talking about how much they love it, you're like, oh, wow, actually, maybe I should start this as well. And I think that with the wave of new runners that have kind of, as I said, taken up the sport over the past year or so, it feels like there's been kind of a shift in mentality among people who may have already been running for however long they have been, to say, do you know what, it's just fantastic that people are actually taking this up, and it's great that we get to share the joy that we feel for running with other people. I think you really see it at races. I've done, I think, three races so far, and at each one there's just such like a feel of anyone can do this, anyone can be a part of it, and it's just so nice to see everyone doing it. And you know, you have the professionals who go out and run 10K in, you know, just over half an hour, which I'm like, oh my gosh, that's absolutely ridiculous. And then you have people who do it at completely their own pace and don't even care about, there's some people who don't even care about pace. So I think it's been really nice to see people just wanting to come together and run rather than comparing and going, oh, I'm so much slower than you. It's just something that everyone can enjoy. And I think people in the running community who, as I said, been there previously, I think they just like the fact that more people are taking up their sport.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like it's quite an empowering thing as well. Say you see a friend going and then they invite you along to a run club maybe, and suddenly it seems like a lot more people are enjoying running, especially people sort of in their 20s, I'd say. Like, it seems like there's a big wave of people sort of around our age, maybe like mid to early 30s as well. And you see it all over social media, whether it be someone's got their medal from their half marathon or a 10K, or someone's just bought like a new cute outfit, or they've just posted like their thing on Strava. And I think it's quite cool to see that a lot more people are, I guess, caring about enjoying exercise or exercising or their health, whatever their reason or motivation is. And I think that's quite fun to see. But I do wonder whether there actually is a rise in runners, or whether it's that we're sort of coming into the age where people start to run. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think, as I said, with the social media effect, it may just be that we're seeing more people run on our screens rather than there are actually more runners taking up the sport. I do think that then it's kind of a cycle in terms of the more people you see doing it, the more people then want to join it. But I think that there's absolutely nothing bad about however many people want to take it up. And yeah, it's really nice to see people, particularly people enjoying exercise. I think this is coming from someone who historically like has not found a form of exercise that she really enjoys. Like, I used to play football when I was younger, and I was just like, I did it for about 2-3 years, and I think it was the pressure of, firstly, other people relying on you, but also you have to be at a certain place at a certain time, and you have to really commit to something. And I'm absolutely not saying that you don't have to do that with running, because if you want to get better, you obviously do have to commit, but it's so much more of a personal journey than you having to be relied on by other people to commit to a team and put in a good performance. And I think it's also about, there's a minor thing in it, is that it's so much easier to take it up than a group sport would be. Because I used to have to get driven to football, which is about 20 minutes out of my house. And if you think about the fact that you can run straight from your front door.
Yeah.
So the time it takes means that more people take it up because it's something they can do as soon as they get home from work, rather than, you know, driving to the gym and then signing in and going to get changed or whatever. It's literally like, you can go home, you can chuck on a pair of shorts and a t-shirt and some trainers and head out the door. And it just feels like it's much more accessible than a lot of sports are. Not only financially, as I said, but just, you know, time-wise. Yeah, it's so much easier to do. I think it's something people do on their lunch break. Lots of people take their trainers into work and then go for a jog during their 1 hour break. People run home from work. Like, I think it is a much more accessible sport than we give it credit for. And I think that is probably a big reason as to why lots of people have taken it up.
And then also there seems like there's been a lot more run clubs made, whether that be just like for an area, like a Clapham run club, or whether it be for women particularly as well. And I think I quite like the idea of run clubs, at least the theory of it, because then you're in a group of people, you maybe feel a bit safer, you've got the social aspect of it. There's some people that may be a bit quicker than you, some that may be slower. You can run alongside someone and chat if you want to have a more relaxed pace, or, you know, you can sort of fit in where you want with those. And I think that's quite a nice way to maybe get into running for people that are maybe less confident to go out and run by themselves as well. Have you got like any experience with run clubs, or what's your sort of thoughts on that?
So it's one of my kind of, not New Year's resolutions, obviously we're now in October, but it was one of my September kind of up until Christmas resolutions, is I really wanted to join a run club. I have a couple of mates who not only have they taken up running this year as well, but they've now joined a run club, and they say that it's so fun. It's just really nice to be able to meet new people who are also interested in the sport, but also might be in the exact same situation as you, in that they've come to a club where they want to make new friends, they want to meet new people, and they just want to enjoy running as well. And so it's been really cool to hear lots of my mates, just going and showing up on a Monday, and they keep going week after week because they say it's so fun. I think from the outsider's perspective, it looks as if run clubs are becoming a bit more inclusive as well, which, as I said, is I feel like it's probably to do with the amount of people who have taken it up this year who are, you know, more beginners than the rest of them. And there's often different pace groups. So you'll have a faster pace group, a medium level, and then a slower pace group. And it's really nice to be able to have the option to, you can almost choose which one you want to do each week. It's like, if you want to push yourself and run faster one week, or if the next week you want to go slower and have a chat with some new people, it really gives you the opportunity to just choose on a weekly basis, how do I want to take this run this week? How am I feeling? And as I said, it feels so much more accessible. And they are definitely on the up. There's a lot of them around me, so I'm struggling to decide which one I'm gonna try and join. But no, it's a really good trend, I think.
And I think as well, the run clubs, what I quite like is that obviously they have that social aspect, but I think for me, I've always found like I kind of like the accountability aspect of like doing some sort of exercise with someone, whether that be a friend or a group, and going like once a week. You don't have to go, but like it almost helps maybe motivate some people to sort of keep up with the running. And because it's probably quite easy, especially as the weather gets worse, to be like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go today, and suddenly a couple of days turns into a week into a month. And whereas if you're sort of part of a run club, I feel like it would help to sort of keep that motivation going, and because you're seeing your friends, and you know, it sort of builds that drive to keep running at the same time.
Yeah, 100%. I think that particularly it's a good point as the weather gets worse and the days get shorter. When it gets darker earlier, I really notice that my motivation to run just kind of falls off a cliff. Because, you know, I'll be getting home from work at 5:30, and in 10 minutes time after I get home, it's dark. And it's also, as a female runner, it's also really hard because it's like, there's a safety aspect to it, in that I don't feel particularly comfortable going out running in the dark. I would probably be fine in the area I live in, but
it's still in the back of your mind.
It's never going to just completely vanish, because there's always going to be like a concern as to, you know, you never know what could happen. So I think running in a run club is such a way out of that, because you're running with other people, and so you just feel like an automatic kind of safety blanket in that you're not alone. There's other people around you. And I think, as you said, running with friends is also so fun. So I run with one of my friends called Molly, and at first I was like, oh, I'm not sure about running with you because I listen to music when I run, and I just kind of want to be in my own space. And I had heard of her going on some runs with her friends, and they will talk. And at first I said, surely not. Like, I am focused on my running, but also I don't have enough breath to talk to you. Like, I just have to be focused on what I'm doing and like feet hitting the pavement. That's all my mind's on. We did a couple where I was like, no, we've got headphones in. And I was like, it just feels like a wasted opportunity. Like she's here, we're running together. We might as well just have a chat. And so I think maybe the second or third time we ran together, I was like, okay, I'll leave my headphones at home. And we just chatted as if we were just catching up. And it's like, that's another way that like, it's really fun because it feels like you're doing exercise, but also you're getting to chat with your mates about how their week's been and like what's new. So yeah, I think it's a really good tool for so many things, you know, making new friends, meeting new people, also exploring new places.
That's a good one, actually.
I went on holiday this year, and before this year, I always viewed holiday as like no, you don't really do much exercise while you're away. You lounge.
It's a time to relax.
Yeah, exactly. Like you lounge,
eat good food, get a good nice tan.
You explore new food. You walk to new places. Whatever. You might like do a little bit of water sports or something.
Yeah,
like,
maybe a bit of tennis if there's a court
or something. Yeah, exactly. But actually doing exercise, I was like, no chance. It's holiday time. It is relaxation time. Until this year when I took up running, and I was like, do you know what? I really want to I don't care about, you know, how far I go or keeping it up all week or whatever. Like, you know, I've got to go on 3 runs this week, otherwise I'm going to be behind my plan. Nah. All I wanted to do was just go for a little jog and explore the town that I was staying in. And it was such a good way to do it. We would like run across the coastline and just kind of see the sea. And it was really cool to kind of use running as then a tool to explore a new place and then feel like, you know, regardless of whether or not you have to do it, which by the way, you do not have to do exercise when you're on holiday. Like, as I said, I was fully on the, you know, just
and I very much still am, just for the record.
Just lounge by the pool. But it's actually really fun, and it was just a nice way to get me up in the morning and just, you know, we come back and have like a bit of breakfast and just be like, oh, we've just had such a lovely morning. So
I love that. I didn't even think of that as one of the things, I guess, to do with running. Like, because like you go on holiday and like you maybe drive past or walk past all these beautiful places and you're like, oh, it's so gorgeous. I mean, if you run, you can see even more of it. Like, maybe I'm being somewhat convinced.
I'm trying hard, guys. Trying hard.
But I mean, with like everything considered, like it all sounds really positive and really fun, but like there are still so many people like myself who maybe don't want to run or are a bit fearful of starting running or don't think they would enjoy it. But it seems so sort of accessible and popular, and so I don't know why it is that so many of us still find it so daunting or have never ran or not for a long time, and why it is we feel there's such a barrier to starting. Maybe what was it you sort of felt before and now that compares between before you ran and now you are running? Like,
I think that before I started, I used to think that it wasn't for me and that I couldn't do it. I think it was the fear of like looking stupid and not being able to do it and just kind of like having to walk on some of my runs and like not going as fast as other people. As I said, like it's almost like the comparison before you've even started.
Yeah.
It feels like you're comparing yourself to people who have been running for years and run marathons, and you go, oh, I'm never going to be able to do that, so I might as well not bother.
Which logically thinking just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's what we do. Yeah.
But no, absolutely, it's what we do, and it's what we do with all sports. It's like we look at Olympians and we go, oh God, that could never be me. But obviously, if you've got the right tools for it, then of course you could do it. But yeah, I think that it was the fear that kind of was putting me off as much as it could. And so as I said, I don't know what clicked in my mind. It was like the second week of January this year, and I was like, oh, sod it, I'm actually just going to put on my trainers and like try. And yeah, as I said, the first one was rubbish, and I felt brilliant after it because I was like, oh, fantastic, I've actually done this. But in terms of like what it looked like, it was probably quite rubbish because I had to walk a bit and blah, blah, blah. But firstly, there's nothing wrong with walking on your runs. Can I just put it out there? But yeah, I do think it's the fear that kind of kills you. And I think that there is no point in putting something off simply because you're worried about what other people are going to think. Because as I've been saying throughout the past half an hour, it's your journey. It's your personal like tool for growth or whatever you want to call it. And so there's no point in trying to compare yourself to people who have been doing it for years, because ultimately we're all different and we all have different goals and different mindsets. I do think for people who don't do it, it's also getting past that first one. Everyone that I've spoken to about it has often been so surprised at how quickly you can make progress. I did my first 10K race I want to say 3 months after I took up running for the
Oh,
first
wow.
time.
That's quick.
Like, you do make ridiculous progress. And it's really cool to see, whether or not you want to track it or whatever. You just feel so much better as well. Like, I've kind of noticed that everything just feels a bit easier now, in terms of I can go on really long walks, and like, it's not, I don't want to call it a day. I used to like want to, I'd go for walks with my parents and they'd be like, oh, let's go on a 2-hour walk and like explore the countryside. And I'd be like, oh gosh, that's so boring. And I'm like, oh no, that's fine. I'll do that. And it feels like everything just becomes a little bit easier.
Sort of changes your perspective a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's really cool to see your perspective change on everything once you start running, like, because it can be such a hurdle for people to overcome. It then gives you this kind of attitude of, do you know what, if I just try the first thing, you never know what could happen. And I do feel like it's changed my mentality in that way a little bit. I feel like I've become a bit more open to trying new things, and, you know, regardless of whether it works or not, you never know what could happen. And running was kind of the thing that started that for me. So,
I love that. That sounds so cute. And I think one of the other things as well is that a lot of the time, even though we see a lot more people running on social media, a lot of the time we don't see like their first or second run and where they're finding it really difficult with the physical aspect, but the motivation or just the getting going. And I think even though we do see lots of people at the start-ish of their running journey, it's often they're a little bit into it and then start sharing their journey. And so a lot of the time, if you've not ran before, you don't see anyone right from the start starting to run unless it's like a close friend or family member. And so it's almost that like you don't know where to start, like how far do I run and how long do I run for, how quick, how slow. And I guess that's all things that are so personal to someone that you can't even ask someone else for that, because you never know what your own abilities are. And I think that's part of maybe the scary bit of starting running, I think, personally as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that can be one of the slight problems with, you know, we have lots of running influencers these days, which is fantastic because they are really encouraging people to just get into the sport. However, with a lot of running influencers, you either only see the good days or you see half of their journey, because very few people will pull out their camera on their first ever run. Like, I know I wouldn't. I've only kind of started sharing running over the past couple of months or so. I've been doing it now for 10 months. I'd say, over the past 12 weeks is when I've finally started to feel a bit comfortable being like, oh, guys, you know, I've just done a 15K. It was really, really hard, whatever kind of thing. So I think it can be a little bit of like a cover up, because as I said, these influencers often only show the good bits. I do think there's a couple who work really hard to kind of say, do you know what, not every run is going to be great. You are going to come home some days and feel absolutely rubbish because you just didn't want to do it today. And that is so fine. But I think for the most part, we only see people making progress on social media in terms of running. And very rarely do we see people going out running for their first time. And so it can be really hard for someone who's trying to start the sport to kind of know where to start, and know how, like, what kind of distance they should be running or what kind of pace they should be doing. To be honest, it doesn't matter. Like, if you are going out and putting on your trainers and like going for the first run, do whatever you want. Like, you go and run like 500 meters. It doesn't matter. The main thing is that you try and like you keep going with it. I think, as I said, it's the first one. And once you do the first one, everything just gets so much easier.
And even for that first one, I feel like if you set out to run 1K and you struggle too much with that and you just cut it halfway or you don't quite reach that, then, or maybe you walk the last little bit, like it's still progress and you've still started. And I think it's accepting that that's not a failure, it's just the start. And I think that's probably quite a key thing to consider and think about when people are starting running. And again, back to sort of like the running clubs, I think again that's sort of maybe where they can come in handy, because you can maybe go on a couple runs by yourself and then already I feel like you'd have that confidence to potentially go to a run club, because there's so many different kinds of clubs now, whether it be for women, people part of the LGBTQ plus community, people of certain ethnic groups. There's a lot more communities for running, and there's always a community that you can find and you can sort of share that with, and hopefully there's some nearby everyone. Obviously around London I feel like there's a lot more than maybe in some other places, especially if you're from a much smaller town. But there's a lot of run clubs popping up across the country, and I think they serve that sort of safety aspect, but also that confidence for you to try something new, because you see people like yourself doing it, and you can sort of join that community and be part of that community. And I think that's quite an empowering and great way to get into a new sport as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's even, Taylor Swift themed run clubs at the moment.
Is there?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I love that.
They chuck on Red and they go, right, come on guys, let's go run until the end of the album. And it's just like another little way for people to be
That's
encouraged.
so cool. I mean, I'm not a Swiftie, but I absolutely love that.
No, neither am I. But I think it's such a cool way. There's also Friday Night Lights, which is they do this kind of, I think everyone wears disco colours, and
that's so fun.
Face paint on, and you run through London. And it can just be a way for people to meet new friends. I also think, just finally on there's a really interesting point in that the generation that we're both part of, kind of, I don't know what we are, Gen X.
I think we're Gen Z.
Gen Z.
I think so.
we're like numerically we're all drinking less. We're going out less. We don't really, I mean, I personally, I don't really drink that much. I don't enjoy going out as much as I used to. Look at me, I'm turning into an old...
Yeah, it makes us sound like we're really old. Guys, we're 22.
But I think running has spurred that along a bit, because people aren't going out as much. They're then looking for something to do early on a Saturday morning.
Sort of fill the void.
Exactly. And running can be that thing, and it has been. I think the numbers of people going to park run is up significantly.
Yeah.
Which is 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I mean, you asked me to do that 3 years ago while
You'd
I was
be well in bed. Yeah.
Exactly. Uni days after Friday night out. No, thank you. But yeah, I think it's the way things are going. People don't want to go out. People want to run. People want to see personal progress. And I think it's a great way to do it, running.
Yeah. And I think even as well on top of that, the idea of using running as a way to feel confident in yourself, whether that be through a cute little outfit. If that's what gets you running, then do that. Buy yourself a cute outfit. It doesn't have to be expensive. I'm sure Primark has some very lovely things. You don't have to be in Lululemon buying the most expensive kit there is, but just a nice cute outfit. If that's what gets you running, then that's what gets you running. Whether it's a Taylor Swift run club, I love that actually. I'm actually kind of a fan of that, even though I'm not a Swiftie.
That's a good idea.
It is, yeah. And I just love that there's so much more of a community around running, and it feels like, from talking to you, that it's a very friendly community, because from the outside, I've always thought that it would seem quite judgmental, or not maybe outwardly, but people inwardly judging, and you'd feel a bit maybe an outsider coming in, and it definitely seems like that's not the case, which is great to hear. And definitely the rise in social media of people posting about running, I think we're going to continue to see more people in our generation swapping nights out for maybe some running, or just swapping nights out for some other form of exercise. It definitely seems like it is a growing trend. I mean, lots of my friends from university aren't really going out much. It's probably also because we're not at university. A lot of them have proper jobs now. But I think there is a lot more of a desire to be more health conscious as we're getting a little bit older. Do I want to drink a load of alcohol that I'm going to feel horrible in during the night and the next day? Yeah. Or do I want to have a nice early night, or maybe go out with some friends for something chill and then go on a run the next day? It seems like it's a lot more of a sustainable lifestyle that we're starting to create for ourselves. Yeah. But yeah, I can't get over that Taylor Swift run club. It's just playing in my head.
I'll find you the link. I'll send it to you.
I need to see that, and maybe that will be what gets me running.
I was going to say, maybe we can go together to that.
But yeah, that's it from this episode. I actually found that quite interesting hearing from you, Lucy, and you maybe consider running. I doubt it will happen soon, but I'll consider it.
I'll keep going with my situation. I'm sure I'll get there one day.
Maybe by the end of May you'll get there.
Have to see.
But yeah, that's us from this episode. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. It's been great talking about running, and especially it being a subject that I'm not particularly a big runner. Yeah. But I've actually loved sort of talking about it and, learning a little bit more about the running community.
Well, it's been great to chat.
Yeah.
It's been fabulous.
It's been great. Thank you so much for getting sidetracked with us. Toodles.
Bye, guys.